Welcome to BW Healthcare World. In our series to understand the overview of 2022 and what is it that we can expect in 2023, we have with us Dr. Vaibhav Kapoor, who's the co-founder of Pristyn Care. And let's speak to him to understand what is it that 2022 has been for Pristyn and what is it that he expects from the policymakers and trends for 2023. So, Dr. Vaibhav, welcome to BW Healthcare World. Let me begin with a very basic question. How has the 2022 been? The last 12 months, what are some of the things that come to your mind that define how the healthcare sector and specifically, your part of the ecosystem has worked in the last 12 months?
I think for me, the biggest, two things have happened in 2022. As you know, when I see healthcare, and I've been seeing healthcare for the last 15 years or so now. One is digital transformation, which the healthcare has seen, right? The adoption of technology. So, it was not like that the technology was not there in healthcare. It has always been there, but post COVID, the 2021 and 22 has seen the real adoption of this technology happening. Right now, that has done wonders. Right, the biggest thing has been patients and doctors are okay with online consultations. Right, e-Sanjeevani, which is the government website, they are clocking close to 50,000 online consults a day. And with all the private players, who are doing online consults into primary care, I think this number is close to 1 to 1.5 lakh consultations a day, which are happening. Right now, with this, what has happened is even if a patient is there in tier 2, tier 3 towns, he is able to get the access and availability and time of the doctor who is in the metro city. So technology has really changed the way the information was available, and it has increased the accessibility and availability as well, right, for the patients. Second, what it has done is, I think doctors adopting the technology. So doctors have used more electronic health records, more EMR, than ever before. We at Pristyn are also seeing that every doctor now is using an electronic health record. Right now, that is a very, very huge advantage in terms of safety. If you just look at the numbers, one of the reasons for medical errors has been doctor's prescription. कि doctor की handwriting समझ में नहीं आती. Right, the nurse might give a wrong medication, the pharmacist might not be able to read the doctor's handwriting, or the patient might take a wrong dose. Right, this has been one of the reasons. Now with electronic health record, everything is printed, and I feel this problem will probably get eradicated itself. Right, because everything is crystal clear, what medicine to give, what dose to give, what time to give. So it is just going to take safety to next level. Of course, then you have so much of data of patients where you can track everything. So for me, adoption of technology is bringing in accessibility and availability for the patients, and I believe a lot of safety in. So that is the first thing which I believe has really changed in 2022. Second, I believe has been patient themselves. Patients post COVID have become a lot more proactive in for their health. Right, rather than thinking let us reach an advanced stage of the disease and then we'll think of getting treated. They're now coming up front. There are more diagnostics happening than ever before. There are more lab tests, radiology tests happening than ever before. And in fact, at Pristyn, we are seeing patients are, who understand that they have a surgical issue, rather than waiting, okay, we will wait till the last stage. They are saying, okay, let us get operated early so that, the disease doesn't grow big. So I think patients have become real conscious in that, right? So I think that has been the very, very sort of, needle mover thing for us in 2022.
I think that's very beautifully put that if I understand correctly, it's more of a behavioral change that has, or patterns that we have seen, both from the patient perspective in terms of, being okay to use technology than sitting in front of the doctor, as well as doctor adapting to technology and embracing it as a part of their, way of working. But
Yeah.
have you seen some change in the numbers? How has the industry grown? The number of elective surgeries that Pristyn has been doing as compared to the industry numbers as well. Any perspective on that?
I think there's one general trend. Normally they say that in the Western countries, almost 60% of the patients opt for elective surgeries once they understand that okay, they need the surgery, right? 40% will still they might linger on. In India, that number, and this is a number from Niti Aayog, the number was close to 10% or 15% would actually opt, right? Though it is too early to say, but what I feel is in the coming years, this number is slowly going to increase and go closer to 40-45%, where patients will believe that, okay, I have a concern rather than delaying it, let me get the treatment, when it is small. So I think these numbers will become more clear, as we grow. Yeah.
And Dr. Weber, how do you think the industry will pan out in 2023? What are some of the trends that you see in the coming year? And what will be the kind of growth that the industry will experience?
I think one very important thing which is going to happen is patients are going to ask for personalized care, right? Now, the traditional approach where one size fits all, right? And you will get the same kind of treatment. I think that is going to go away with. People are looking at personalized care, thanks to so much of adoption of convenience, in other sectors, thanks to all the 10-minute grocery deliveries, the Swiggy, Zomatos of the world. People are not just looking at quality, but they're also looking at a lot of convenience. So I think personalized care is going to be the thing. Patients are going to ask for, a personalized care, whether in the OPD, right? They don't want to wait for ages, for their appointment to come in. They want a doctor to give a proper time to them, spend a lot of time with. They want a lot of convenience if they have to go for any procedure, right? Whether it is for their insurance clearances, financial clearances, they don't want to stand in the queue and wait for 24 hours ki unka approval aaya hai nahi aaya, right? Then of course the quality of treatment has to be, top notch. And then similarly in the post-op care, whether they can get sort of, a lot of convenience or treatment at home rather than they have to visit doctor multiple times. So I think personalized thing care is going to be the key forward, and we will have to see the patient and then devise for him what all benefits you can give him. So second, I think I'm very bullish on wearable technology, right? With smartwatches coming in, ECG coming in, BP app machines coming in, biosensors. So this is going to play a very key role, right? I think this industry is already growing in double digits CAGR year on year, right? So I think I'm very, very bullish on that. Now, what it has done is now this wearable technology, or where we say point of care, the biggest advantage is these can be used in the hospital, these can be used in the clinic, and these can be used by patients at home. And imagine a doctor is at home and he gets real-time updates on his patients who are admitted in the hospital, because just because the patient is wearing a smartwatch or there is a patch attached to him, now doctor can take quick decisions, right? Or the doctor is in the hospital and patients are probably in a tier 2, tier 3 town in their homes, right? Doctor gets, every 3 hour reports on blood pressure, every 3 hour reports on blood sugar, every 3 hour reports on ECG. Now, normally there is a golden period in which the action, if taken, it saves patients' lives. So I think these wearable technologies are going to give real-time information to the doctors, and just a small intervention by them is actually going to do wonders for the patient. So I think for patients and for doctors, it is very good. I also see a lot of hospitals adopting these technologies, right? For example, I used to see it in US where they had attached these wearable technologies to beds, to sort of their wheelchairs, to just to check where is the, the real time occupancy rate, and to check where is where is actually their wheelchair going, so that they don't have to delay. It shortens their delay, it improves their efficiency. So a lot of wearable technology will also be used in the hospital just for better management and improve their efficiency. Third thing, which I feel is now going to happen is hospitals will undergo a major shift, right? We work with almost 1000 plus hospitals. And what we realize is they are slowly becoming surgical centers, right? I truly believe a hospital has to be a place where a patient has to remain for a day or more, or it has to be a critical care. So a lot of things, hardly any hospitals in India are EBITDA positive, right? If you leave the larger chains. And the reason for that also has been very, very high capex. Now, if you imagine, a lot of things can actually be done outside the hospitals. All the OPDs can be done outside the hospitals. All the labs, diagnostics can be done at home or outside the hospitals, right? All the post surgery care can be done outside the hospitals. Now, when you sort of remove all these things from the hospitals, the capex of the hospital actually comes down to very low, right? Now, if a hospital is a pure surgical center where patient has to just quickly go in for surgery, and go out, or if a hospital has to just take care of tertiary care patients who require an ICU or something, then suddenly the efficiency, the productivity, becomes really, really high on that hospital, because the capex will be low, quick rotation of patients will happen. So I think a lot of players are now thinking that instead of building mega hospitals, they would rather go in for a 30, 40, 50 bedded short surgical centers, and all other things can happen outside the hospital. So patient necessarily doesn't have to come to the hospital to get a lab test or to get a OPD consult. They can all happen outside. Uh, I, I I think 23, 24, 25, in next 3 years, we'll see a spurt of surgical centers coming up in India, right? Like it has been in the Western country, where they work at a very, very high efficiency and, very, very high profitability as well. Yeah.
So, Dr. Vaibhav, what are the number of total surgeries that take place in the country, and what percentage of this has moved from hospitals to asset-light models like yourself, and how is the acceptability changing the numbers?
I think, the data says there are close to 3 million surgeries, or 30 million surgeries which happen in India every year, right? Now, a lot of these surgeries will, of course, happen in tertiary care hospitals, but tertiary care hospitals are either limited to bigger cities or metros. And beyond that, all these are mid-sized hospitals. So almost currently 80% of the surgeries are currently happening in mid-sized hospitals, right? Pristyn has been there for the last 4 years, and now we have so many other asset-light models coming up, right? So we would still be probably doing less than 1% of the surgeries, right, currently. But what I believe is this number will increase to a great extent. There is a lot of space. There are patients who require treatment. There are hospitals who need patients, right? And there are enough doctors in the country who also require to see more patients. So I think just better utilization of hospital assets, better utilization of doctor capability, right, will increase this number. And with asset light models coming in, right, I think it's a step in the right direction where they will sort of use these assets really well.
Got it. And another question that comes to our mind is, Weber, that you had just mentioned that you have a lot of these other new companies coming up. So industry is expanding. There's a huge opportunity that exists. Does this mean that in the coming year, can we expect some M&As, consolidation, or what is it? Is the industry moving towards that?
I think I'm not sure about the M&As and everything, but with the current scenario, with the current external environment and everything, what I believe is, it's not going to be easy access to funds for everyone like it was in 21, 22, right? So while there will still, good companies will be able to raise a lot of money, right, and grow, the valuation part might get corrected, right? The multiples which you were getting earlier might not be the same which you would get now. But I think if you're building a profit, if you're building a company which is, unit economics positive, I am definitely sure a solid business will gain money. And I think asset light model helps you in that, right? Since there is no capex involved, right, and you are into surgeries, this definitely gives you a strong economics. So I believe there is every reason, if the business is built in the right manner, everyone has enough space to grow. A consolidation, I'm not very sure right now. Yeah.
And Dr. Vaibhav, for healthcare, anyone in the healthcare industry to grow, there's a role that the government plays. What are some of your expectations from the policymakers that you feel can help the healthcare industry as well as businesses like Pristyn take off and be more useful to the patients?
I think I believe this is the best time to actually start anything new because government is so supportive, especially towards digital health. So I think they have done great work. It is for us to now go to them and explain what we are doing, right? That is the first thing. I think second step is once we are able to sort of explain them what we do, our integration with these NHA schemes, National Health Authority, whether it is Ayushman Bharat, right? Now new age models getting direct cashless empanelment, because today cashless empanelment can only happen to hospitals which are 5 bedded or 10 bedded or 20 bedded, right? You need a physical infrastructure. I think that some change, as we go and speak to the government and we explain them our value, I think that can be something which we can say, that probably the definition might change, and probably the asset light hospitals or the asset light models can directly get cashless empanelment as well, and then we can do a lot of such cases, especially in tier 2 tier 3 towns. Second, I believe under this Heal in India, Heal by India program, medical value travel, I'm sure we will hear a lot on medical value travel in the budget. We recently started or did our first camp in Tashkent, right? And we could realize there are some hassles, right? Whether it is to get a training, get a surgical license there, getting your visas and everything there. We've just started our operations in Bangladesh now. So I think and we will see a lot of tourism coming from there. I think it is just the ease of doing business, where you can get faster approvals, faster visas. I think we will see a lot of MBT currently is unorganized. We will see some solid things coming up there, and that market is really going to get organized, and we are very bullish on that from our side. Third, I believe, uh, on the GST side, I was talking to a few of my colleagues on the equipment side, right? Uh, what happens is when you take any consumable or something, you of course have to pay an 18% GST, but you can't take, the input because healthcare is, sort of not in that. So I believe probably the GST rates from 18% might come down to 12% or 5%, depending. I think there's a strong thing needed there. So I believe we would love to hear something on these lines, from the government in the budget. Yeah.
And another thing is, what is your expectation on or your suggestion of what can be done around the insurance sector? Because when we are talking of surgeries, insurance plays a very critical role. And I think, while we have done better in terms of penetration, do you think have we done enough or there's much more to be done? What is your view on this?
I think on insurance, see, earlier people used to take insurance because they believed कि insurance policy ले लेते हैं, tax benefit हो जाएगा, right? It was more of a product to save your tax, right? Today people understand they need a health insurance or a term insurance just as a pure insurance product. It is for their safety. It is for them to save from a bigger expense which they might have to incur in just one shot, right? I think, and post COVID, people perception has really changed on that, right? So I truly believe that insurance penetration in India is still very low, but it is going to massively increase. I was reading the other day, they said probably 10% of Indians have private insurance or government insurance, and then almost another 40% have this Ayushman Bharat. Then there are good close to 80 crore people in India who still pay out of pocket expense. 80 crore out of these 130 crores, 80 crore people are still paying health sort of for their medical expenses out of their pocket. This is what they call a missing middle, basically. So I feel, like I said, one size doesn't fit all. So insurance companies are coming up with very, very innovative products, right? We were at a meeting with IRDA the other day. I think they are doing fantastic job where they're opening up more licenses so that there can be more companies in the insurance sector, and then the penetration of insurance can really grow. Plus, awareness is, I think, going to a next level, where people are now taking insurance as an insurance product rather than thinking that it will help them to save a tax.
I think you pointed out a very important this thing. But what are your plans as Pristyn? Because what happens when people want to access Pristyn Care services, they are not insured, but they can't afford. So is Pristyn looking at venturing into this segment as well for the benefit of the patients?
In the insurance segment,
To be able to help patients fund their surgeries.
so I think 50% of surgeries which we still do are of patients who are not insured, right? The advantage of Pristyn is, since we work with a lot of mid-sized hospitals, right? And then we are able to, put a quality standards in those hospitals, and then, bring in all the high equipments ourselves. The standard of care, even in this mid-sized hospital, is compared to what will happen in a top corporate hospital, right? But the cost for these patients has really gone down, and it goes as down as 50% as compared to any surgery in a bigger hospital. So I think that is one bit which we're doing. Second, cash, patient financing now has played a very big role. If you see any industry, non-healthcare, they have grown almost 3x, 4x just because the financing options came in. The mobile industry, you can get your mobile phone 50,000 on probably 12 EMIs of 5,000 each. So we see a lot of patients who actually, cannot pay 30, 40, 50,000 in one go, but they're okay to pay 4,000 every month, right? And hence, we have now partnered with a lot of, fintech players where they are able to finance these patients, for their surgeries, and these patients can get a surgery done on EMI. So I think that, I believe, is also going to be one of the biggest needle movers, for this space to grow. Yeah.
And Dr. Weber, what is it that we can expect from Pristyn Care in 2023? What are your plans for expansion, scaling, funding?
I think one thing which we are going to do is, we are currently there in 40 cities in India. We would expect ourselves to open up another 20 cities and probably be in 60 cities by end of 2023. We have opened up a lot of new specialities right now, which we were earlier not doing in secondary care space. So you would see all these, every kind of specialty going deeper into each city. I earlier said, we've just started with Bangladesh, on a Pristyn 2.0 model. So we see a lot of progress getting there, and we are very bullish on the medical value travel. So when we enter medical value travel, I believe it is not just going to be for the secondary surgeries, but also for the tertiary care surgeries. So we will partner with our existing hospitals. How can we use, their facilities and sort of, help these patients in medical value travel as well. Then there is a separate entity of Pristyn which is called as BeatXP. Now BeatXP was started by Pristyn during COVID, when the surgeries got shut, right? And we started it with selling masks and sanitizers, and now we've slowly moved to health and fitness there, right? Now that business has been for almost for us 100 crore revenue, in the last 1 year, and we see that moving to greater space. We've launched one of the most affordable smartwatches in that, right? As well, and I see that market growing really big. So we believe we are very bullish on BeatXP as well, that it will touch bigger heights, in 2023.
Dr. Weber, I have one burning question which has been there in my mind since I've been talking to you, which I really wish to get an answer for. I keep talking about it in the media that, there are three pillars for healthcare. One is access, quality, and third is affordability. And all seem to be interlinked, and obviously all of us are working towards providing quality healthcare, but it all depends on the technology that is getting advanced today. But the newer machines, robotics, etc., it comes at a cost. And you are not the ones who are controlling the hospital environment. You are using their services, their OTs. How do you balance between the two, and what is it that you are planning to do to bridge the gap. So, for example, in tier two, to go to a hospital to do a surgery, but they are not equipped with the best, surgical equipment like robotics. So, what is your plans on that becoming a reality?
So I think I'll divide it into two parts. One is equipping hospitals with the latest equipments, right? And second is probably the use of robotics, where it can happen. Now, at Pristyn, every surgery we do is done in the most advanced manner, right? So what we understood was that these mid-sized hospitals, since they were either doctor-owned or small organization-owned, they did not have enough, money in hand to buy all these latest equipments and then probably use them once a month, right? Because they would not get enough patients to probably do a surgery on kidney stone with the holmium laser. So there was no point for them to buy a 2 crore equipment. Now with Pristyn, since we can bring in volumes, we buy all this equipment ourselves, right? And then one equipment can be used in multiple hospitals in the same city, right? You use the equipment in one hospital, you get it ETO'd or autoclaved, and then it's ready to use again, right? So I think one, because of volumes and because of better utilization of these most advanced technologies, we have taken it upon ourselves that we will equip all these hospitals with this modern technology. Now, second, on robotics, I feel, see, robotics has done one thing where it makes the surgery really precise and really easy for the doctors, right? Because you can magnify it to 100x, right? So robotics makes surgery easy for doctors, right? But it has not shown clear benefits till now, and especially in Japan, where probably their highest number of robotic surgeries. So their data also shows that whether on the cost side or on the post-operative benefits, these are same as compared to probably the laparoscopic surgeries which have been happening. There have been no clear benefits, right? Now India is a very consumer-driven market, right? While you can look at doctor convenience to some extent, but you can't do it at the cost of increasing the cost of surgery for the patient. Or if the patient will ask, are there clear benefits of undergoing a robotic surgery, the answer is not clear yes. So I believe uh, robotics will take some time, till they become a bit cheaper, to grow in India. But if you leave the surgery, all other aspects, right, outside the operation theater, robotics are now used, to do a lot of things. Robotics play a very big role in teleconsults, right? They can actually, do teleconsults. They can actually help you track the devices, monitor the inventory, right? So they are being widely used for all these things, right? Uh, I think they will play a much bigger role there, right? As of now, where they're really going to improve your efficiency. They're really going to ensure that all the safety standards are met, right? So I think for me, I see more robots coming in that space where they are actually doing their, they're helping the technician in doing the lab tests, in probably managing inventory, in probably controlling, the hospital bed and everything. So I think it plays much bigger role there, I believe. Yeah.
But can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
Dr. Vaibhav, since you're now, I come to know that you're investing in equipment, helping hospitals get equipped with the latest technology. Most of the equipment that is coming in, especially in precision surgeries, is coming from overseas. And there has suddenly been an impetus and the focus of the government on growing the Make in India thing. So what is your view on the purchase of equipments, procuring these equipments? In the budget, do you expect that the budget will actually increase the custom duty on foreign equipments so that Make in India can take off? Or do you think that the custom duty should actually be reduced so that we can, while India is developing the modern equipment, we have access to lower cost precision equipment for our surgeries in India?
I think two things here. One, so what I believe what government had done for agriculture sector, 20, 30 years ago, that kind of tax subsidiaries, right? One is completely essential to, really kick this Make in India project, right? Where all these organizations who are currently building these technologies get special tax benefits, lower interest rates, and everything, because that is going to be the real kick, right? I often see, a lot of Indian domestic players now coming up to us, right? For example, laparoscopy set, which is normally, is a sort of, generally not in India, right? You have to sort of import it from outside, right? Now, there are a lot of local vendors who have built a lab set like that and better than them, right? Now, they, of course, come, but they are producing it at a small scale. The moment they get a lot of benefits, where they can, sort of, they don't have to pay for taxes, they get lower financing rates and everything, I think they can grow the production really big. So I think that is the biggest benefit one can have. Of course, when you make, sort of imports hard, that is also an impetus where, people feel, okay, now it is going to be costly, let us see what is there inside India, right? I think both these things will have to be done in balance, because unless the production is really big, you can't stop the imports from there, right? There are already enough of machinery in India, of course, and you can learn from that and then say, I can develop it probably in house as well. So I think it will take time, but I think the government is doing it in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. It has to be a balance between, the overseas equipment as well as what is being done in India until we reach a scale where we are able to produce the best equipment. Dr. Vaibhav, I'm really grateful to you for taking out time to be with us on BW Healthcare World. Thank you so much for speaking to us and sharing information about what we have experienced in 2022 and what is it that we can expect in 2023. All the best to you.